Good morning. Calling the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me for a prayer. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen. Amen.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 28th public hearing, the June 3rd Commissioners meeting, and the June 5th Special Commissioners meeting.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, corrections to the minutes? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next up, we have public comment regarding any pending resolutions. Is there anyone with any public comment? No? Hearing none, we will move forward to our resolutions. First up, we have Andy Conrad.
Good morning.
Morning.
Beautiful day out today. We're at, just so you guys are aware, we're Smith Road is one of our big over the Black River is one of our bigger bridges, and we poured the bridge deck this morning. So hopefully here shortly it'll be back open.
Great.
I have two resolutions for your consideration this morning. The first being granting a variance to the Medina County subdivision regulations for the issuance of a driveway permit off the end of a terminus of a substreet in Granger Township. I provided you a copy of letter from Granger Township of support and a copy from the homeowner. Mr. and Mrs. Green are here this morning if you have any questions. This is a situation where there's an ag use. It's a large parcel. They're building the residence with a concrete driveway off of Wilbur, but they want to be able to service the farm portion, I believe, of the property still off a separate driveway, and this was an accommodation I think will work out. But if you have any questions, they're here to answer, or maybe they have a statement. I'm not sure.
Do you have a comment or any comments that you want to make before we take it? Typically, we move forward with approval, but since you're here, I want to certainly give you the opportunity.
Just so you know, we went to Granger Township.
Hold on one sec. He's going to get you a microphone, actually. We've got to stage manage the whole thing. Yes.
We did go to Granger Township 2 years ago before you cut the driveway in to get approval, not knowing that there was more to do. So we weren't trying to get away with anything. We just kind of got caught up, and so I'm just innocent. Yep. That's all.
Well, you had me at agriculture use, and the Granger Township trustees approved. So,
And I've known the Greens, and they're wonderful.
So, and I do have a second resolution determining necessity to close Lake Road for a culvert replacement.
I will make a motion to approve the two resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion second. Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
All right, and weekly permits there for you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks.
Next up, Jeremy Cinco, sanitary engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Three resolutions for consideration today. The first is authorizing revisions to the Medina County Sanitary Engineers Code of Regulations. The second is authorizing the sanitary engineer to obtain an easement for the Granger Road Water Main Improvement Project. And the third is authorizing change order number 2 for the Medina County Sanitary Rehabilitation Project 2025.
I will make a motion to approve the three resolutions.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Just for clarity, just to make sure where we're redacting certain sections that don't apply and have not been utilized within the Code of Regulations adopted on January 1st, references to the development agreement, as well as the security, financial security is required for the improvements. We haven't utilized it, and so therefore it's being redacted.
And we feel comfortable. We've got everything that, at least of the issues that were raised last week. Just for the sake of clarity, with the additional documentations that are going to be put in place, if there were any future conflict between those two, would the position of the department be that the later adopted regulations would control over any previously adopted ones, or might we need other changes to that document going forward?
We might just need to alter it just to coincide with any future documents that come around.
So we'll just need to.
I was just, after you're done.
Yeah,
I was
we
going to
will-
ask if you had any comment on this.
No, having the financial guarantee portion removed, I mean, there's other
Well, and I was going to mention that to Matt too, as we bring in, third-party assistance on the actual drafting piece. We'll just want to make sure we don't lose sight of whatever other potentially conflicting provisions there may be that need attention in these previously adopted agreements. Because, ultimately, we're trying to get clarity so we have one body that everybody looks to for the clarity that we need. So that'll get us there. Additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Denise Testa, Planning Services. Good morning, Denise.
So before I present the resolution, on Planning 1 resolution, for the bid in paragraph 6, I just need to add a Y to the 8. It says 8-1, it should be 81. So that typo was
yeah.
made by someone with the initials DT. All right, so I have 4 resolutions for your consideration. The first is accepting and awarding a bid for PY24 Community Development Block Grant funded Village of Lodi Sidewalk Replacement and Installation Project. The second is accepting and awarding a bid for Program Year 24, also CDBG funded, for the City of Brunswick Street Improvement Project. The third is authorizing the commissioners to enter into a partnership agreement with the cities of Brunswick, Medina, and Wadsworth for Program Year 25 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, also known as the CHIP program. And finally, approving a release of mortgage for a property located at 198 Tanglewood Trail in Chippewa Lake, Ohio.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4 resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion, second. Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Denise. Next up, Brett Thomas. I'm sorry,
You
Holly.
skipped Holly.
There you are. I see you over there. Holly Murin from HR.
Good morning. On our personnel resolutions today, there's 1 new hire at Solid Waste District, 6 rate increases, 3 in sanitary, 1 in county home, 1 in building, and 1 in human resources. 3 leave of absence, 1 in transit, 1 in maintenance, and 1 at Job and Family Services. 1 return from leave at Job and Family Services, and 1 resignation at county home.
Make a motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Motion, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Now it's time for Brett.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Brett.
Morning.
Hey, before we get started, I had a really quick question for you. Do you guys know what you call a fish with no eyes?
I don't think I do.
Fish. This was brought to me by my daughter this morning as I was getting out of the house. I just had to share it with somebody. So we have
appreciate
6
that.
resolutions today. Our first one is expenditure adjustments for various funds. It's not really various funds. This is for DTF and for McSass for their grants. Our second resolution is cash transfer for various funds. These are actually all for McSass this time, moving things over into operating funds from our grant accounts. Our third resolution is a transfer for the print shop revenue. That is in the amount of $804.13. Our fourth resolution is a transfer for our gasoline rotary fund for the month in the amount of $22,078.92. Our fifth resolution is expenses of county officials. For the most part, this is all pretty straightforward, except for the last one, which is an additional for the sheriff. This was for a trip down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, from May 20th through 22nd. The original approval was $4,150, and the cost added is another $2,300. Our sixth resolution is our weekly bills in the amount of $1,635,967.59.
Make a motion to approve the 6 resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion, second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Brett. Next up, Matt Springer.
Good morning.
Hi, Matt.
I just have one resolution. This is approving the filing of an F-Class temporary liquor license permit for the 2025 Medina County Fair.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion, second. Any discussion? I know the fair relies on that added revenue that comes from that, so, and it hasn't caused any problems that I'm aware of, so. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Next up, we have department updates. We have Del Saffel here from the dog shelter. Morning, Del.
Good morning. I have a few updates for you. You might be aware of some of them already, but we'll go over them again. First of all, we'll do the 2024 yearly stats from the shelter. We impounded 216 dogs last year. 104 was adopted out. 97 was claimed by the owner. 9 was sent to rescue. 5 dogs are still pending that we still have at the shelter. And 1 dog was euthanized due to it being a dangerous dog. Been working with the Dog Shelter Advisory Committee. We visited a few different shelters to see how they are doing things with play groups, play areas, the setup of the shelter, the kennels, the ventilation, the drains, things like that. So if we do build our new shelter, we'll have a way we want to do things. Gone over a lot of the policies, the current policies and procedures that we have in place for the shelter now. We're reviewing them, seeing if they can be better, redone, better ways to work them. We've gone over a little bit of everything that does with the shelter. We meet usually about once a month. There's 6 of us on the panel, and we go over a little bit of everything. We are doing a lot of dog license checks this time of the year. We're doing a lot of calling. Some of the farther places that we don't get to all the time, we call the people and remind them. And it updates a lot. A lot of people have moved out of the county. A lot of people don't have their dog anymore, so we can update the files. We get a printout through the county auditor's office that lets us know if they had them last year and didn't renew them. So, and a lot of them just forgot to do them. So we've been doing a lot of calling, a lot of door-to-door. If we're out in the area, we'll do a lot of checks from door-to-door. I'd like to remind people also, it's not a county law or a township law, it's a state law that you have to have a dog license. And we wouldn't have a lot of the dogs at the shelter if they had licenses on them. We could contact the owners right away. So if you get the license, put them on the dog. It doesn't do any good laying on the counter, laying in a drawer or something. And then the microchipping, it's not a law that your dog is microchipped. It's a good policy, good ideal to do it. The problem with microchipping is you have to have a scanner to scan the dog. So if the average person find a dog on the street and it has a chip in it, they're not going to know who belongs to unless they have a scanner. We have a scanner at the shelter, of course. A lot of the vets do. But if you have the dog license on your dog, that can be traced. You can go to the auditor's office, put that tag number in. It won't give you the person's name or address, but it'll give you a phone number that you can contact them. And if you do the microchip, register it. We get a lot of them that come in. I've mentioned this before in past updates, but a lot of the dogs come in and they're never registered. They go back to the breeder or the rescue, and they never register them to the person that bought the dog or adopted the dog. Some updates from March 10th, Save a Lot of Greater Akron came down. Well, they called first, but they come down and donated over 20-some bags, 50-pound bags of dog food for the shelter. So that was a great help. We are self-supporting. We don't get any of the tax dollars that people think we do. We don't get any of the general fund, so everything that we do comes out of the dog kennel fund. So stuff like that is always a great help. Keeps me from having to go and buy the dog food all the time. And on March 10th, or April 23rd, I should say, we had a young man from Medina here that held a lemonade stand, and he raised over $310. You might have seen this already because we had Brian post it. He raised $310, and he donated it to the dog shelter instead of spending it on himself or toys or whatever they would do. He actually donated to the shelter, and he also made homemade dog treats that he brought in and gave us for the dogs. And then we had the dog that we called him Ryan. He was there for almost a year. He come in January 23, and he wasn't adopted until November 28th of 23. He was a German Shepherd, and he only liked a couple of us at the shelter, myself and one of the other wardens, Vicky. He would like us, and we could walk him and deal with him. But people come in, he just didn't like them. A lady came in from Cleveland one day, and he took to her right away, just like night and day. He just went right up to her and sat by her. And she came in 3 or 4 times to visit with him. She spent hours with him at the time at the shelter. And then finally, last time she came in, she took him home. But he came in April this year to visit us after gone almost a year. And he was a little shy at first. But then after he realized who he was, he just started being all lovey to us. Vicky was the one who dealt with him a lot too, besides myself. But he was happy to see us, and they said he's doing really good. They named him Baby instead of Ryan. But, so
He does not look like a baby.
we had
He's huge.
a police officer come in when he was there at one time, and he's like, I bet you I got $50 that says I can pet that dog. So I got $50 that says you can't. So Ryan came up, and Ryan just was like standing his ground, and the police officer's like, no, thank you. And kind of backed off. But this July, we're going to try to do our second annual Christmas in July. It'll be the last Saturday in July. I talked to my Santa. He's booked for that weekend for Christmas in July. So we're going to try to do a Grinch. We know somebody that has a suit and stuff to do a Grinch. So we'll try to do it on a Saturday like we did last year. Invite different rescue groups, shelters, and just have a little event.
That's great. And I've seen a draft of the policies you mentioned from the committee. So we'll probably have those in another couple weeks, probably before the end of the month, I would think, for review. So
Good.
they'll make their
Excellent.
rounds, and then we'll have action to take on those, because I think that advisory committee's done a really nice job of kind of helping move things forward from both a policy standpoint, and then also I think they're going to help drive some of the momentum towards, you know, the facility improvements too that are a little bit longer term. But you know, I would participate in one of those. We went down to the Ashland, tour of the Ashland facility and the Wayne County facility, and you see the shortcomings of our existing facility when you see, you know, the Ashland one's brand new, the Wayne County one's maybe been there for 30 years in terms of a facility, but the actual
yeah,
shelter
but-
operations.
Which one did
are
you
new.
like best as far as setup?
Ashland was really nice. Their pods was in a U, so all of the kennels open to the outside really
Yep.
easy. I really liked their setup and their flooring. A few things I didn't like, but it was a nice setup. It was new.
Yeah. And the Wayne County one was kind of retrofitted on the space that
Yeah.
they had. So it's, you know, a little bit of limitation. So, but you do see the ability for the dogs to have access, you know, outside access, inside access, and from a personnel standpoint on how that can help. Those are both operations that have a lot more population than we have too, from a dog shelter standpoint.
Right, although they're smaller counties.
For any number of reasons,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That we're thankful that we've got the population we have, because we can continue to accommodate
Right.
the population we have. I don't think it'd be in the cards to have a new facility along the lines of what they've got, just in terms of square footage and everything
Yeah.
else. So, but no, those have been informative sessions, and I appreciate the work of the committee, because I think we're moving things forward. So,
Yep.
Excellent.
thanks for sharing, Del.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Next up, we have a commission resolution. It's a proclamation. This is Resolution 250451, celebrating the bicentennial of Hinckley Township, Ohio. And because I'm old, I'm going to have to take my glasses off. In 1825, whereas in 1825, Hinckley Township was officially established in the state of Ohio, with the township's name coming from Judge Samuel Hinckley. Whereas the year 2025 marks the 200th anniversary of Hinckley Township's founding, a milestone that reflects 2 centuries of growth, community spirit, civic pride. And whereas the residents of Hinckley Historical Society, in collaboration with the Bicentennial Committee, township officials, and community members, have organized a day-long celebration on Saturday, July 19, 2025, to commemorate this significant occasion. And whereas the bicentennial festivities will include a parade, live entertainment, games and rides, educational activities, food vendors, craft and souvenir shops, a car show, historical tours, and a grand finale featuring fireworks. And whereas this celebration serves as an opportunity for residents and visitors alike to reflect on Hinckley Township's heritage and to look forward to its future. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Medina County, Ohio, that it hereby congratulates Hinckley Township on their bicentennial and wishes them continued growth and prosperity.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, discussion. Does anybody from Hinckley have
Very
anything to say?
excited as a Hinckley resident. They've been working so hard, and they actually put up a brand new clock similar to the one Wadsworth has, and they're doing brick pavers all around it. They've really worked really hard.
Great. Additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next up, public comment. Is there any additional public comment? Yes, there is. Please come on up and just state your name and address, if you would.
Hello, I'm Amanda Chapman, 422 Sharon Falls Drive, Wadsworth, Ohio, Sharon Falls Development. So the resolution that was passed today for the changes of the sanitary regulations, that is a direct result of a pre-construction meeting that we went to for our development. We went into the meeting, to a pre-construction meeting, and you go to a pre-construction meeting to learn requirements and regulations that the county, Mr. Cinco, Mr. Conrad will require from us. We walk into this meeting and they have no idea what regulations we should even be working under. So once there's subdivision regulations, there's Ohio Revised Codes, the CCAO actually has a pretty detailed information about who is under what regulation considering the timing. They had no idea. Your prosecutor didn't know. Ben Romine didn't know. Dave Pugh doesn't say much, but nobody knew where we were supposed to be. And when we said we don't believe that's correct, we were threatened with the fact that, well, do you want to delay this further? Do you want to delay it further? By county officials and by the prosecutor. That's not what we were doing. We asked for clarification. We asked questions because we already knew the answers, but we want to be on the same page. Our plans did follow their current regulations. The current regulations aren't the regulations we're supposed to be following, but I assume they follow the regulations we are supposed to be following. When we go in there and we sit down, we ask for all of the information that they're going to be handed, talking about any handouts that they have. Immediately, people pull out paperwork we've never seen with things that are required from us that we haven't seen. What's the reason for a pre-construction meeting if we can't even get the right information? So that was disheartening. Mr. Cinco was not there. I'm sure you do know your regulations. They did not. They didn't know the developer's agreement was in there. I had to cite multiples in chapter the 600s. 106 is the first mention of it. Then they tell us we need 10% of what we're going to do, or $10,000, whichever's more. Well, the regulations said 100%. And we said, well, it says in the regulations that you're telling us we use, it's 100%. And they said, oh, we're not going to do that one with you guys this time. Okay, so when are we going to enforce the regulations fully? Are we going to pick and choose? And that was better on our end, but this is just a small, blip on the radar. When are we going to pick? So moving forward, reading through the regulations, I've read many of them, and I've referenced codes all over ORC, the CCAO, subdivision regulations. I've referenced all of them. Unfortunately, the sanitary regulations don't actually have a revised code. It's understood that it's under the same, preliminary zoning regulations. So I'm reading all of those. There are quite a few different things, so I'm glad that you clarified that there will be possible changes, and as you said, some things in there that will need to be revised in considering moving forward. But I'm just very curious, when all of the builders came in for the developers agreement, we said we never even heard of a developers agreement. You guys had already passed a whole thing of regulations saying developers agreement throughout it, and never said, well, the regulations that just passed, have developers agreement in it. What, I mean, the transparency is the reason why everybody's upset. And that, I mean, I can't understand why somebody wouldn't bring that up during a developer's agreement. There's no transparency there. You knew it happened. He knew it happened. We didn't know it happened. We didn't even know the sanitary regulations had changed. So, you know, we would love to, this is a lot easier when we all just work together and we all have the same idea and make the same, but we're not there. We're not working together. And unfortunately, the information that you receive isn't going to be, you know, the information that I receive. You receive this part, I receive this part. Nobody gets the whole story until it all comes out on the table. There are many things that we need to talk about moving forward, and I will be at every one of these meetings every Tuesday to talk about these because I only have 5 minutes, and I'm probably going to need all 50 of your meetings to use those 5 minutes. So I'm gonna end with that, but what happened at this pre-construction meeting, that resolution, the fact that nobody even discussed the developer's agreement before it was put in there, there's no transparency. So we need to work on it, and I feel like we can, because I know that, in talking to Mr. Michaels, I know that you guys are really working on our end, the public end, and we appreciate that. But I feel like we don't want you to be middlemen. We need to work with the engineers. We need to work with the sanitary department as well and just talk to them and have good dialogue. So moving forward, I would just ask for that. Also, I would ask for, I don't know what you want to call it, but we would like to do a mailing list for emails, any resolution, any public hearing. We would like to put all of us on an email. I already have all of our emails, so that it can be sent to us. That way we don't have to dig through public notices. I don't have to get on Ohio Notices website and look through this. I don't have to archive the Gazette. You know, it's too much, and I feel that it's your job and the county's job to notify us. And if we're saying we are not being notified and we are not getting this information, we need to do something, because we want it and we're entitled to it. So I can get that together. I can get the email list together, and I feel that would really bridge some gaps with notices and us being available for comment. All right?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Nope. Discussion session. Jeremy? Matt? Denise? John? No? Colleen?
Nope.
Steve?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to bring up, there was a bill that was introduced last week, and you're aware of, as House Bill 335, which makes some significant proposed changes to our Ohio's property tax system. There are some grave concerns that have been raised, as you're aware, and I've shared with you the CCO. We've already had statewide meeting as of Monday morning on with like 96 of us, commissioners and so forth throughout the state involved in that. We've got some other subsequent committee meetings going on this week as well regarding this bill, and also with the sponsor on Friday morning. We'll have an early one again to talk about this. As I understand from our discussions with some of the legislators, this is on the agenda. There is likely will be property tax reforms included in whatever budget gets passed between the parties. What it takes, I guess, is yet to be determined. This, just for the public is aware, we're educate at least our gravest concerns with the portion about involves the removal of the counties, or the county, the schools and municipalities, what's called inside millage or non-voted millage. And this is for Medina County, for us, that's 2.5 mils non-voted. This year, it amounts to $19,176,800. Next year, it's likely would end up going up. It's not reducing at this point the proposal to the increase. It actually would eliminate entirely within 6 months that income source for the county. And we, under this bill, would be proposed that we would either suck up the loss of $19 million and do nothing but make the various cuts in county government, or go to the ballot and have the voters approve a sales tax. They'd increase the authority of the commissioners up to 1% for those purposes, basically is shifting the tax burden. And as you're aware, and I prepared, and we've sent that to the colleagues. I did a little bit of history on our non-voted or what's called inside millage. It's somewhat detailed, but actually, non-voted millage for counties goes all the way back to 1804, the creation of our state and the first enactment. Because for counties, this non-voted millage is used for state government purposes. We are arms of the state of Ohio. We are directed to do certain functions. We are directed to have a courthouse. We're directed to have judges. We're directed to have a jail or prisons. We're directed to build bridges. We're also directed to conduct elections. All those are mandated by the state. Those are in other states. County governments don't necessarily have to do those, but in this state, there was by its organization from the very beginning, that money was for those purposes, used for the state purposes. And frankly, this is an affront to county government, and it's an affront to misunderstanding, if you will, as the nature of county government isn't we get to pick and choose. Most of the things that we do in county government are actually dictated by the state, and this is one where that funding was available. I'll keep you updated. We're having, like I said, further meetings. We're trying to educate the leadership within the House, within the Senate. Likely they're pushing for tax reform, and we're not opposed to property tax reform. There's almost 30 separate bills in the legislature dealing with property tax reform. This is one that has the most significant impact on county government. Townships actually have been excluded from impact on this under this bill. They get inside millage, which ironic is originally they didn't have inside millage. They didn't have non-voted property tax in 1804 or 1805 when they were created. All their property taxes had to be voted upon by the electorate. In our county government, there's at least a portion of our property taxes were always reserved for county purposes, and the rate to be set by the commissioners. There were limits put on that. Back in 1804, it was 5 mills. We collect 2.5. So we're well within the constitutional limits. Now, Constitution changed in 1927 and in 1933 as to what those limits would be, but what comes down to it, there are limits as to what that millage is. There's a system of collection in place, but we're very much concerned that we would have to make up $19 million of lost revenue within the first of the year. The CCAO is looking for us to provide a list of what we would do to reduce, if you will, what services would be impact. I don't even know where to begin to start. We know because we have mandated services, we can't reduce the judges, the courts, we can't reduce the jail. There's only certain areas that could be reduced that are not mandated or not already levy supported. And so I think those are areas that they've asked us to provide input. I don't even know where to start with that question. What would we cut? Everything else.
Well,
but
it's back to 2008 8 days, but
Even
worse.
worse.
But
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
And in 2008, virtually every department was instantly cut 10%. I was looking at the math. I'm not even sure that gets us to 19 million. So, I mean, it would be significant reductions in what we do right now for our residents.
Yeah, I gave you what Brett had prepared. Yes, I worked on it, and as to what our 2.5 mills produce historically, and what our sales tax. And we've had times when that property tax actually went down. We had a number of years where literally it went down because of the conditions in the market. And so you can see sometimes the ebb and flow. But how do you make that up? It would take, I guess, the estimate that I've seen for us, we would take a 0.55% sales tax to replace that. With no time to do it. But
You said approximately 30 bills for property tax reform. How many are dialing back the unfunded mandates that apply to the counties?
none.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
Because
And there's other ways, there's other changes that they could make where we would have more access to some annual funds that, for whatever reason, Columbus does find difficult to make some of those changes of pots of money that we could have access to should they push this through.
Well, they're really good at that if you're a failing football franchise, though.
Right,
They'll
right.
make pots of money
I think it's,
available.
actually, the Auditors Association has come up with a list of their proposed changes. None involve eliminating inside millage.
I was gonna say, if I can, so we were at the
We
auditors
need him to
conference
speak
when
on the
that
mic.
actually.
We need
Yeah,
a
hold on
mic.
one
need a
second. We'll
mic.
get you a mic.
John, why don't you come up?
Yeah.
All right, please. Yeah, I know the Auditors Association has already produced a list of what they're
Right.
suggesting.
So,
Yeah.
John Hunter Auditor's Office. So we were down at the conference when that actually went live, and so we actually changed some of what our agenda was to talk about and address this from a county size standpoint. So we broke up into various counties. Medina happens to be in a larger county group, so we discussed it, and we are putting some things together. I know I'm headed on Thursday to a meeting to discuss it, so as an auditors association, we are not in favor of 95% of what's out there. It's not real tax
Agreed.
reform in
Agreed.
the auditor's opinion, auditor's opinion. So I'll keep you guys informed of what's coming out of our working groups and sessions, so.
Okay,
Great.
I know the association staffs are working together.
Right,
Communicating, and just our meeting yesterday, I think you got shared what was been shared so far. And you're
Right.
absolutely right. The vast majority of those proposals are not really true property tax reform.
Well, the inside millage came out of left field.
Right.
So
Way left.
no one was expecting that, and there's, I
Yeah.
hate to go back to unfunded mandates that the state give,
Right.
which seems to be a popular choice of theirs, but, yeah, there's no mechanism in place to replace those dollars.
Right.
I thought that they would go for local government funds first, but this is way more significant than local
they're
government. It's
around the
like-
percentages, but
Right.
well, they're looking for dollars and immediate impact to residents next year that they will see a reduction in their property tax.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
And-
this is going to happen quick.
Well, is there timeline tied to the budget, or is
Yes.
this outside of the
Yes,
budget process?
as I understand, yesterday when Colleen and I were at the same function, where a number of legislators were there,
Yeah.
their intent is to have something come out of conference committee. Right now, the Senate as their omnibus bill is
Right.
gonna come out. I guess their amendments came out at 10 o'clock this morning. They will be passing out of their finance. It'll pass from the floor of the Senate. The House will non-concur, and then conference committee will start up, and then over the weekend and week, work on the differences. Rules typically have said you can't put anything in a budget bill that hasn't been in either one. That's been more of a informal rule. My understanding from yesterday is that leadership they're going to insist that there is something in there that could include any of those number of bills.
That's the information we're
Right.
getting.
So that
Yeah,
means it's
see,
going to
but-
bypass the committee process entirely.
It's gonna go in conference committee, and so
Okay.
what it means
This-
then is if you're on the House floor or in the Senate, you either vote for the conference report
or
or
not.
not. You're up or down, you really don't even have a chance to amend it.
The speed of how this is flowing is terrifying. I mean,
Well, that's why we're
I-
panicking and treating this seriously. And like I said, we're meeting with the sponsor. They have been meeting, the staff, actually, we're meeting this afternoon with the caucus, the Republican caucus staff, our CCAO, to go over some of this and try to get some informal understanding as how far they're going to go on these suggested changes. And obviously, it's a great concern.
Well, it's really troubling because it's such a broad solution where if there were truly financial problems that warranted this type of a solution, I can't unsee the backdrop of giving $600 million for a publicly financed football stadium when they're cutting all this money from local government. Because how do you reconcile those two acts I know that it's maybe make the argument it's different money, but it's public money in both cases.
LSC is $3.5 billion
Yeah.
immediately.
So, but I mean,
Yeah.
so what's the impetus for that? Property tax reform? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the stated
That's
drive, but I think that's what you're doing is taking a problem that needs some kind of surgical solution, because there are real people in our community who are suffering from the property tax burden that's placed on them. but I don't think, at least in Medina County, I don't think that's everybody. I don't know that I need property tax reform to, to continue
Well, they want,
living.
they want to shift the tax burden actually to a sales tax.
Yeah,
Yes.
And they want to do it immediately.
and there's a
rather
way to
than
do
phasing-
that has
rather than
nothing to do with the
phasing it
budget
in.
process.
Right,
And I mean,
yes.
there's a way to do that and see if you can get the momentum behind that. But see, that's the other thing that I don't like about this. I'm actually encouraged, I guess, I'm being terribly optimistic when I say that, by the fact that it's part of the budget process, because I could envision a scenario where we, being prudent, take steps to impose new sales tax dollars without knowing if this goes through.
Preemptively, yes.
And now we've got new tax dollars that history tells me will never go off the books, and inside millage stays. And that's the worst of both worlds. So
Wow.
the budget process, at least there's a deadline there to know what exactly we're dealing with.
The one problem is by the time this passes, you could actually not physically put something on the November election.
exactly
Right, because we've got an
So it
August
would be a
deadline.
They've
automatic
already- yeah.
short haul.
Unless
Fall.
they automatically impose the sales tax.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
is
at the
which
same
is
level.
not the way we should be imposing
I
sales tax either.
100%
That
agree
should
with
be.
you there.
I mean, we want to put that in the hands of the voters. I think that's the
In the
appropriate way
world-
to do it.
In the world where we miss the November, like John said, and we're not
Yeah.
on till next May, then we're not
We don't collect
realistically
until the following
collecting,
year.
like, what, 2 years almost by
To-
the, if you're talking next May.
Probably 27, pay 26.
I think it ignores the
Yes,
fact
timeline.
as I've tried to present in that little historical essay and present to my colleagues. The nature of county government is we are arm of the state government. We perform functions of the state government. And that was the intent of that money from the very start of the development of counties as well as, now townships are not arms of the state
Well,
government.
right.
They get mandates as well.
Yeah. And that's the reappraisal we're going through right now.
Is state.
Is a state mandate. The tax rates
Well-
are mandated through the state offices, so.
If you didn't do it, the state would end up doing it
Correct.
their own way, as in some states they do.
Correct. Yes.
Rather than, and so it just administratively, we are arms of the state of government, and they're ignoring that fact. They're treating us as if we were a township.
Well, and I don't see evidence of them tightening their budgets accordingly, tightening their
Well, of
belts
course
accordingly. So they're saying, look at all this tax savings that we're giving to the people. It's populism at its worst.
Yeah.
We're giving the people all this, but we're balancing it in one, at the smallest level of government that the state's responsible for. And those are real services that people aren't going to have if this comes to fruition, because you're right, the state mandated things, the Board of Elections requirements that they're under are,
Determined by the state.
and they're almost absurd when you say you've got to prepare for every registered voter to vote every different way you offer, and we've got to fund that. That's not decisions that are made at the local level. That's decisions that are made at the state level.
If you look at historically the last 15 years, the cost of just the one department that you're talking about through unfunded mandates, the cost from 15 years ago to the cost of that department now, it's astronomical.
Right, and so if that all stays in place, then the things that we're cutting are the truly locally funded things, and we're putting stress on any other, tax levies that come up for social services and all that stuff. It's such a terrible
Unfortunately,
scenario.
when I was, during our conference call and so forth, one of the commissioners did say they talked to the individual was reasonably new legislator with little background in local government, basically asked if there were any unfunded mandates.
Oh, jeez.
And if they could produce a list. And it shows a
could
gross
produce a
misunderstanding of what county government actually does.
Right. Well, and that's the other part of it that I think of
Yeah.
too is our role,
Yeah.
right, as kind of the budgetary arm of local government, is very undermined when all we're doing is writing checks at the direction of the state legislature. And I don't think that's what most people who are drawn to public service at the local level are looking to do. We're not looking to be agents of state government. At some level we are, admittedly, but I don't think that's our primary purpose, and I don't think that's our highest and best function either. And we're getting awfully close to that at the point where they're saying $20 million is just going to disappear. Now do the best you can. And that's really problematic. I think to the goal of property tax reform, which I do support for a targeted basis, something that's means tested, something that causes people who are struggling to actually pay those bills to opt in, maybe through a board of revisions process or an expansion of that where those numbers can be adjusted to something that's more affordable for the folks who are on a fixed income, that makes all the sense in the world to me. And you can do that without giving a cyanide pill to local government. I don't know. I mean, there are other ways to do it, and I think the timing is making a lot more bad ideas get floated to the surface here. It's really troubling. So.
Well, I'll keep
So
you
what are
informed.
the next steps?
All right, now, committee meeting, you'll be meeting next week. We opposed, we voted in committee before 3:35. We have a special meeting, like I said, Friday morning, the CCAO. We'll have to see where they're at in the process, and then I'll be sending you whatever information they give us.
Do you
as
feel
to-
like the CCAO is united?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, good.
Although they feel in some regards, there will be, as we were told last night by some of those legislators, there's going to be property tax changes, major reform. The point is, who's going to pay for it?
Right.
They don't want to pay for it. They want schools to pay for it. They want the cities to pay for it. Well, they want the county to pay for it.
Yeah. And
Well, there is going to be something that happens.
Right.
We've been rest assured on the 20 mil floor level.
Right.
So-
Oh, yeah, right.
So
Yes, there's that.
probably moving the emergency levies to count towards that 20 mil floor
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature, which is a lot of the impetus of what
Right.
brought this about to begin with. There is something that's going to
Oh, there
happen
is.
on that for sure.
Yeah.
So, but
So
the
what
inside millage is a little drastic.
A lot.
And late to the game, timing-wise.
Oh, well, last Thursday, last Tuesday,
Yeah.
Well,
Wednesday.
there's proposals on that context too, to make that all levies will require 60%.
Yeah.
To pass or even renew, which
by
would
the
be
way,
problematic.
I see problems with that too.
Yeah.
But things that are happening going forward are things we can plan for. Things that happen that they just pull the rug out from under you. I don't even know how you
Agreed,
plan for that.
agreed.
So
So I guess at this point, we can't answer the question as to what we would cut.
yeah.
I just can't even get my head around how we would make up $20 million next year by January.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the updates, John. Thanks for your contributions. Anything else?
Nope. Oh, no.
that's the hot item, I know. And I don't have anything else. We do have a special meeting at 11 o'clock I'm going to call everybody's attention to. That's a discussion of the solid waste plan update. And that's going to be upstairs, I believe, right?
Yes.
So that will convene at 11 o'clock.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Motion second, roll call.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.